Lucky. Your product, basement hard luck. Basement hard luck. Card shots, thieves, murderers with hard luck. Pimps and card shots, thieves, murderers with hard luck. Your product, basement hard luck. Basement hard luck. Card shots, thieves, murderers with hard luck. Pimps and card shots, thieves, murderers with hard luck.
Good morning and welcome to the Hard Luck Show. So Lucky, you know the deal. Got the Indian, got all blue eyes. Happening, guys.
Good morning. And listen, if you don't know who we are, go back to the other 300 episodes where we got all of those.
370 episodes.
Right. We got all of those ad nauseum. It's time now. If you don't know by now, then fuck it. You don't know.
It's the Hard Luck Show.
That's it.
That's right. And today,
Yeah.
special guest. I've been waiting and trying to get this woman. I'm bothering my staff all the time. When's this guest coming on? This woman, by the name of Veronica Arroyo, was the woman who developed and wrote the film and story Mi Vida Loca. All right? Powerful film. She reigns from the Echo Park area, and she's come in today to share her story. And I've been anticipating to get to hear this woman's story. This is the type of content we bring you from the Hard Luck Show. Let's welcome Veronica to the show.
Welcome.
Hi, hello everybody.
Would you like to introduce your second half with you here as well?
I have my husband, Mike.
Mike.
Yeah.
In the house.
And is your Vida Loca, sir?
Veronica, thank you for coming down today, man. Me and Veronica met through Spider. Shout out to Spider.
Yes,
it was
Spider.
an event that was going on out. I forgot where that event was.
Pico
Rivera.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that big event, big concert.
Yes.
Yeah, and we met, and we got to chat, and he brought me over, and I got to admit, everybody, I was a little bit starstruck meeting Veronica because I was very clear when this film came out. A lot of the press surrounding this film, the backstory. I know some people that were actually in the film, and the film itself and the story was beautiful and so well done and so authentic and such an important story about our culture and about Los Angeles. And man, I mean, did you see the film?
I've seen the film a couple of times.
Yes.
Right? And it was iconic when it came out, right, Veronica?
Yeah.
There was nothing like it.
No.
I mean, what was out there that was kind of in that genre around that time?
I think we had American Me.
Right.
It was mostly the men's
Right.
Men's perspective.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So you
And
had
so
the prison life perspective, and then
Sure.
you had the streets, the struggles that the guys dealt with in the streets, and
Right. And in
Yeah.
prison. Yeah.
And so, what caused you to think that this story needed to be told?
it wasn't. You know what? It wasn't a thought for me. It was the director, Allison Anderson. She
Right.
lived in Echo Park.
Right.
And she used to ride the bus with my mom, and our hangout where they would get off the bus was where she used to see me all the time.
No kidding.
Wow.
Yeah. So she would always tell my mom that, she wanted to do a movie. She was a producer. And my mom would tell me all the time, but I was like, no, I'm not into it. I had no interest in it. I'm young. Like,
Wait a second. Let's slow it down. This is a very fascinating.
Yeah.
How old are you at this time, approximately?
15.
So you're 15, and you're the only 15-year-old woman in Los Angeles that's not interested in being in a film.
No.
And what was the reason at the time? Do you recall? Like, what was it about all of that you weren't interested in?
It just nothing that caught my attention. Like, I didn't, I didn't discover my voice and the person that I was until during that time of the movie filming, and I realized like how important I was to other people, and it went on from there. I just like, okay, this lady kept asking my mom, and to shut her up, I said like, all right, tell her to bring the script. And 6 months later, she comes with this script, and I was like, oh shit, this white lady was real.
Right, and it's Allison Anders, right?
Yes,
and
Allison
she's
Anders.
a Midwestern white lady.
Yes.
And she's riding the bus, and somehow well, let's ask you. What was the cultural difference? What was it tough for you a little bit, or them, or how did that all work out?
For them, it was. I think it's tough for me now because I feel that the reverses are turned. The roles are
Yeah.
reversed, right?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
So Echo Park was nothing but family. It was like family-owned homes by older generation Mexican families.
Right.
It was a bunch of old, second, third, fourth generation families that owned homes there. So the way it is now you have a lot of the hipsters, a lot of people that are coming from New York.
Full gentrification.
Yeah, full
Correct.
gentrification.
Right.
So when I say the roles are reversed, so
Tables have been turned around.
Yeah.
And Echo Park is somewhere, I always like to say, and I feel like in many ways, Santa Monica and Venice has been talking about gentrification for a long time. It happened kind of early on over on the west side. And I feel like Echo Park was part of the early gentrification move. Like a lot of people found out about that area and how well it's centered and how close it is to Hollywood and how beautiful that part of town is. And it got found out and then bam, very quickly. I mean, now it's been gentrified for a while.
oh yeah,
Echo Park.
it's done. So growing up for me, it was it was home. It was I didn't feel out of place. I didn't feel different than the way I do now. Now it's sad to say, now I do really feel like.
Do you
I'm out of-
still live in Echo Park?
I do.
And do you live in the same place or area, or has your place changed?
It's changed. So now I'm on the Dodger Stadium side.
Yeah.
Literally my backyard.
right.
So I'm right in the middle. I got Chinatown on this side and then Echo Park on this side. I'm spanked right in the middle.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if you're 15 and your mom's riding the bus with this director/producer who I looked at her credits and she's done a couple of things, but this really was the film that put her on the map,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so what happens when you finally say yes? Okay, fine. Just to shut her up, right? It's probably not even going to happen. 6 months she shows up with a fucking script, right?
Yeah.
And you look at this script and what do you think?
I was shocked. I was like, oh shit, this white lady's real.
Like she was really paying attention.
She really paid attention. And when she brought the script, she told me, she was, very upfront. It's not going to probably be to your liking, some of the words and the way we describe the areas, or the way we put the scenes together. And she's like, I have to keep some of it Hollywood. I'm 15 years old. I didn't know what she meant by that, right?
Right.
Right.
Go home and I'm reading through the script and I'm like, I don't talk like that.
Right.
We don't say that, or we
Right.
didn't do this. And
What is the example? Can you recall an example of something where you're like, yeah, we don't say fucking swell or whatever it was? Do you have something that you recall that you were like, that's gotta go? I'm sorry.
There's a few things I can't off the top of my head. It would be when they would say, I'll give you a perfect example where Giggles gets out of jail, right? And she's talking about the computers and future and stuff like that.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's a trip that you would, I never thought of any of that growing up around that time, right? Like,
Right.
but then she puts that in there and then look at here we are in the future and what's,
And what's
It's
going
true.
on.
it's true
Right,
what
right.
she meant.
I
And-
don't think people now, kids, right, young people, Mr. and Mrs. Earbuds listening right now, can really contemplate just how in 1994, when was this filmed actually?
94. It was filmed in 93, got released, 94.
Right. So in 93, when you say computers were the future, that wasn't a foregone conclusion yet, especially in Echo Park.
Yeah,
Right.
not at all.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
And so now I learned something. That was Salma Hayek's debut film,
yep.
right?
Crazy.
Do you and she was just at that party or whatever it was. Do you remember her at all?
Yeah.
And what
definitely.
did you have to throw down, or did you have to give her direction and say, "Hey,
No.
get out of my light"?
She was on the other side of the rival gang, right? That's the girl. She played the girlfriend of the other rival gang. So
Yeah.
it wasn't really having to coach her or nothing. She just had that that part. And I know, and I'm going to be truthful and honest about it, but she doesn't have anything to do with, does not want anything to do with the movie, or
What?
she won't.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
It's
I
an-
would be like, hey, this is what got me started. You know?
I would be too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She tried to disown it and just
Yeah.
that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Doesn't want to
never-
bring light on it.
That's
No.
crazy
That's
because
crazy, man. To me, that's the coolest thing ever.
that's the cool.
You know?
That's what. Yeah, that's the
Dope.
credible thing about her.
Yeah.
or
Yes,
whatever.
Salma Hayek. What are you thinking?
Yeah,
Come on,
you know what?
Selma, speak up on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
come on to the Hard Luck Show and tell your side of it.
Story, yeah.
Come on.
So let me ask you something. You read this script right now. Was there changes? Was there a sit down with her and her team and saying, "Hey, listen, some things need to change," or this is like, what you were reading, were you flabbergasted, or were you like, okay, like this is something to work with, or she's kind of almost on with? What was your opinion of it?
Yeah,
reading through it?
we so she gave us the script, and she gave me a couple to give to all the other girls and everybody that wanted to participate, because it was kind of hard to get the guys to come on it.
Right.
But you know, I had to throw. Well, she's gonna pay you.
Right.
So then I was like, all right, we're gonna get money for it. So we had a big help with the script, and we used to sit down and we would go over the script and cross some stuff out and be like, no, we don't really say this, or this ain't us, doesn't feel real. So we had a really big part with it, and
Of course you did.
Sounds
not
like
a
you
lot
got
of-
to consult and
Yeah.
help rewrite
from the
and create.
clothing to the way we walk, dress, talk. Like, they really studied us, and I mean, to the T. So even when you see the actors talking and the way they're acting in the movie, right?
Yeah.
They're like that with us offset. Like, it was a trip, because here they would tell us, man, it was scary to meet you girls, and but at the same time, it was nerve-wracking and scary for us. Like, I was nervous. I didn't know anything about acting and actors and actors and what they do and what I got to do. And so, yeah.
What was you, so I'll, and this is just me asking it, right? And you can set me straight if it is, but at any time did you feel a little bit like, hey, this is our life, and I'm glad that it's going onto the big screen, but at the same time, you're all gonna leave and we're still gonna be here, and are we getting a cut of the film? Like, was there any feeling like that you had to a certain extent in thinking about it?
She made it ours, and she made sure to make that noticeable.
Really?
Allison wasn't just this, white lady that lived in the neighborhood and felt sorry for the kids, right? No, she really made us feel welcome. She lived there, I want to say, a little over 15 years in Echo Park, I believe. Her kids went to the same elementary school we went to.
Wow.
So
This is a piece of her life too.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's encouraging
Yeah,
to
that
hear,
is.
right?
That is.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's coming from a true, genuine place. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Not manufactured with gains and aims for herself or an
Right,
agenda.
right.
More like a piece of her sharing what she experienced.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because she would when she would get off the bus, she would come talk to us girls and the guys and hang out with us for a little bit, talk, and, just to get to know us a little better. And I guess at that time she was also doing her homework, like observing the way we interact with each other. And but she also, I remember having a conversation with her, and she would say that she would just see us as little kids, like young kids, having fun and enjoying our life, hanging out in the corner.
Right.
She didn't see anything wrong. And I think at that moment is when I realized, like, this lady's real. She's authentic, because she wasn't judgmental. She wasn't, oh, poor little Mexican kids. Here, let me give you a role. Let me help you out with money. It was never like that feeling. It was more like a big sister, motherly type of feeling that she would, she made us feel very
She
comfortable.
saw you as humans.
Yeah.
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 And so what about your mom? What did your mom think about this process? Because my wife is Guatemalan, and her mom is her biggest fan, but also her biggest critic. So it's a tough, right? How was it for you?
She never, you know what? My mom was never on the set. My mom, she would just ask, how did it go? It wasn't really, I guess she saw us comfortable, and she knew that we were comfortable with filming.
Right.
So there wasn't really a concern for her. She never really made it a point to be out there, make sure that, I don't know, I guess because we were, at 15, I don't want to say it's sad to say, but I was very mature. A lot of us were at that age. We were like grown, and we were pretty much hip to what was going on in society in our lives. And, so I guess my mom felt comfortable, but yeah, she's never came on the set and said anything other than, how was your day, me? How filming today?
Wow.
And let me ask you, so while this is going on, and while this woman's kind of watching this, what's the underbelly of what's going? There's obviously, this is a neighborhood, so there's males and females in this, and there's, at that time, you're talking about 94. This is an active time in LA for lots of different neighborhoods. So what was going on, aside of like Hollywood and this thing that she's watching? There's got to be a dark, real side to what's happening as well.
Yeah. So the good thing of her living in Echo Park, she knew of the gang activity that was going on. She was familiar. She would hear the shootings,
Right.
on a day-to-day. She knew when somebody got hurt, somebody got shot, or somebody got jumped. She knew. So it was a concern for us when we started filming, not that we were going to get hurt, but the people that were coming with her. So, the crew,
Right.
The actors, and we kept, I remember we would tell, when we had a conversation, it was like, are you sure this is something you want to do? So she accommodated us, though. So a lot of filming went during the day, some night filming, but she made sure that we were taken care of and we're safe. Shit did happen, though.
I would imagine, I just
Right.
can imagine, a neighborhood, on how all these cameras and, other neighborhoods or enemies being like, dude, they're fucking filming a movie over there.
Yeah. We would be filming up one street, and down the street you would hear, pow, 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 shooting. You're like, oh, shit. And we would, okay, I think we need to stop. Let's make sure everybody's safe. Yeah.
And was there any how do I say this? Did anybody have to pay any taxes in order to allow the film to get shot?
Let's not even ask
Yeah.
that question.
That's not even a good question to
Yeah,
ask.
So, man, I mean, that was definitely some of the I was just kind of comparing it to maybe a neighborhood where I'm from, or if something was going on like that would cause a lot of and stir up a lot of tension. She wasn't scared off by all that.
No, she was, I'm telling you, she was a very humble person, she was hip to it, because she's lived there for so long, so she was immune to it, I would say, like us, right? We were immune
Right.
to it.
Right.
So was she.
And go ahead.
No, I wanted to back up a little bit and find out about, you and the neighborhood and kind of like you growing up, and what did you find? I mean, I imagine that it's very organic because you're kind of falling into suit with what's going on around you. But when did you find that lifestyle attractive and start moving towards that? And was there ever your mom what you're wanting to keep you away from that lifestyle, or how did that as a young woman growing up there?
It was it's hard. How can I say it? So older generation neighborhoods are more family oriented. So it's kind of like a generational thing, right? With us, we grew up all together. We all went to the same elementary school together, junior high, high school. So it was just something that you were in. It was never like, oh, I want to be from Echo Park. Oh, I got to be from Echo Park. It was just, you grew up with them. They were childhood friends. We grew up. We all claimed Echo Park. We were all from Echo Park. We all did things for Echo Park. And I never felt like an outsider. Because we had some outsiders that came from different neighborhoods that got into, not came from different neighborhoods, but lived in different areas that got jumped into Echo Park.
Right.
But you kind of always felt the difference. We were schooled properly by our older homeboys, homegirls. We had that respect morals. Some of them that came in didn't have that respect morals, weren't raised the way we were. So it was kind of, bumping heads there, here and there with stuff like that.
That's like that interesting scene in the movie where I think it's Giggles gets out and she's talking to the other lady and they're talking about, well, when we were younger, we had values and virtues and blah, blah, blah. These younger kids today, they don't have it at all. And they're talking about the kids in the 90, 93, 94.
Yeah.
And now people are saying it
The
today.
same thing. I maybe they're just always saying it.
Well, I think that's a line in the movie that the lady makes a comment that the older generation's always saying
gonna.
Yeah.
Another thing that is interesting about it was a couple questions. One is I grew up in that culture. People know where I'm from, whatever it might be. But the thing about Echo Park is for one, there's a large community of homegirls. But not all neighborhoods have that, you know. But your neighborhood, there's a whole set of homegirls.
Right.
How is that? What's the answer to that question? You guys are deep with the females.
Yeah, it goes back from my husband's generation.
Yeah, what did you have to do with that, Mike?
This is all because of Mike.
Yeah,
huh?
Mike, it's your...
Because he dated all of them.
No, well, it just goes back to, like she says, it was family orientated, and we all grew up with brothers, uncles, family members from the neighborhood. So it was more like family, not like you're getting into a gang. you're becoming part of the extended family.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and I think 92, maybe, no, I think 94 that year was the last year that we allowed a female to get jumped into our
Really?
neighborhood. Yeah.
Really?
We put a stop to it. It was, we had little girls that would claim the neighborhood and they were going to different neighborhoods starting problems. Yeah. So it was like something had to be done. That's it. No more girls after this. We had one homegirl, a homegirl Rascal, and that was it after her.
You know, I think we had another woman. I can't remember where she was from, and her stories. I mean, she was very deep and very strong. And I've heard from other folks that the women, right, tend to be very strong and very. What's the right word for this? I don't know how to explain this. Why are women so badass when they're in this situation? Why are they so strong?
Damn, babe, answer that one for me.
Yeah. Mike, what are you doing? Answer that. Why?
The way I see it is because they have to like not be equal to the homeboys, but they have to stand up for themselves and try to be just like the homeboys, you know?
Right.
I mean, these are. I don't mean to interrupt, but it's
And
like these are
sometimes they even go further.
Right,
than
that's
the
what I'm.
guys.
That's
Absolutely.
what I
You
hear.
hear
Because
girls out there gang banging and like, wow.
yeah, because they're coming into a male dominant
Yeah.
whole lifestyle. That's
Right.
primarily a male thing. So even have the balls to even step into it, and then once you're there, you have to prove yourself 10 times over.
Yeah.
You got to go above and beyond to get respect. And I got to say this. I mean, I was working in San Francisco, and the transitional the transitional position that I was handling was transitional living for men and women, and a lot of them were coming out of prison. That Itasca contract, and so we were housing a lot of men that were ex-lifers. We were also housing a lot of women that were ex-lifers, and I talked to a lot of these women, this is not anything chauvinistic, and I'm not trying to put down women at all, but I have to say that some of the women that were murderers and killers that I had met that had finally done their life sentence come out, their stories are way more. I mean, when you think that dudes are cold,
Right.
Yeah.
these were like straight, like I was like, what?
Look
I
at
was
that.
like-
Look at
Yeah.
her face. Look at
No.
Veronica's face. That's a face of like,
Hey,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was nervous just sitting down talking. I was like looking over my shoulder, like,
I've
you did
gone
what?
off, I gone off on him, one time, and it was like that. A couple of days later, after I calmed down and everything, and he came back home, and it was like, fuck, I'm sorry, I didn't know that I can switch up that way in a
Right.
heartbeat.
That's why he's
And-
sitting so far away from you right
Yeah.
now. Safe distance.
Yeah, because I picked something up that I shouldn't have, and it was like, I didn't care. And my son was probably a teenager at that time, so it was like, but it's, I'm not gonna lie, like even growing up and after I had my son in my 20s, shit would kick off, and I'm the only female there because I'm there with him, or I was always with the guys that growing up. So growing up, I hardly was with my homegirls. I was raised because my mom would, she had a boyfriend. She would go on the weekends, and I was only allowed to go out on the weekends if my brother was there. When my brother was already from the neighborhood. So I was always around the guys growing up, and some of the older guys, if you go around my neighborhood, they call me Eseviro because I'm one of the guys.
Right, ese vidro.
Yeah, and some of them still call me that. The ones that are still around, but it's a trip when you say that, because I work with the homeless population. I've worked with gang reduction programs. I worked with women and men from coming in and out of prison. When you hear some of those ladies' stories, it's heartbreaking because they've gone through so much that it took them to that point.
Right. I mean, yes. I mean, the backstory of a lot of these women were horrendous.
Yeah.
But
You know?
also that backstory, not that anyone should have to endure it, but the fact that they're still here also speaks about a kind of strength, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Sure.
Definitely. Because to have to hurt somebody, take somebody's life, to have to go through something like that, it's, I mean, once you're in that cell and you've had that moment to think and like reality hits you, and I can't even imagine what's going through their mind. Like, but when you hear their stories and it's like, I thought of my kids right away, my family, or you know what, and the main thing is themselves. Like now they realize how important their life was, but because their life was being taken away for so many years, and it would just dawn on them now that, fuck, I'm gonna sit in this fucking cell for so long, and for what? Was it worth it? But at the end of the day, it's, you know, it can break them, make them, either way.
Right.
Break them or make them either way. And
So going back to this film then, so how long approximately did it take for Mi Vida Loca to film, approximately?
about a year and about a year.
Mike, you remember this time as well?
Yeah, I helped out.
Were you like the best boy or the boom operator?
You know when Sad Girl's getting her
Nah,
tattoo on
yeah.
the hand? That's his hand tattooing.
Yeah,
No
was
shit.
The tattoo advisor.
Yeah, consultant.
consultant. Then I came on a couple of the scenes in the background and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Yeah, because I was working at the time, so it was hard for me to take time off to go.
Sure.
Yeah.
And actually be part of it.
So what was the experience for you when you finally saw the film put together?
It was mind blowing. It was, I remember when we went to the studio, and even just going to the studio and doing the voiceovers.
Right.
That was crazy because
Where did you go?
somewhere on Sunset at the, what studio was it? Sony Picture Studios.
No
This
kidding.
is crazy.
Yeah.
Because what's
Phenomenal.
crazy, right? What's crazy to me is like to try and get a film like this made, or a studio to invest a nickel in it, or
Right.
bring you onto the sets and send cameras to the name. Like it's just not gonna happen, bro. Like it doesn't seem for that to go down and to actually. That's why I'm just so blown away that this story fucking turned into a motion picture, a feature film that was released in studios, like, and it released in theaters.
Right.
So yeah, tell us about that. Sony Studio.
Wait,
Yeah.
yeah. So wait a second. So right. So how do you guys all have appointments for the Sony Studios and go on the lot?
Yeah, they would pick us up on the van, and they would.
Today
take
they
us-
would say it's a liability. We get out of it.
yeah.
Go on. They
No,
would
they
pick you
would
guys
pick
up.
us up in the van, and we'd go do our voiceovers. And it was during the day, of course. We'd have to get excuse for those that were in school. Had to get our excuses. of
Sorry,
course.
Teach. I gotta go do my
Yeah,
voiceovers
yeah,
down at
yeah,
Sony Studios. You know how it goes.
Yeah.
And was it exciting to be on the studio? Did you see anybody walking around? Like, did you see John Ritter trip and fall?
No. It wasn't till the movie premiere. Movie premiere is when we saw all the actors there, and it was like, I think that's where I was like, oh shit, shit just got real.
Where was the
Yeah.
Where was the premiere at?
The Dome on Sunset.
Yeah, that's fucking major, man.
Yeah, that's serious shit, right
I think
there.
I might have saw it at the Dome. I think I might have
Have
seen it at
pictures.
the Dome.
Was there a red carpet?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Red
did
carpet.
Did you get all dolled up and shit?
Oh, man.
Homegirl like?
Yeah.
Did you? In
You went in
character?
character?
Oh, yeah.
Ghetto fabulous.
Fucking
Ghetto
Right.
fabulous.
Was Mike allowed to be there, or
Yes,
did he have to
was.
stay home?
No. He was there.
Mike got off from work for that.
Right.
I actually have pictures from the studio from the filming that day.
The
Really?
red carpet. I mean, when you first see a crazy white lady on a bus talking about a film, the last thing you think is going to happen is you're going to be at the premiere.
I would
at the
never
red carpet.
buy it. Like,
Right.
you were going to get a fucking bill. Like,
Right.
And that's how we were. We were like, so when she came with the script, it was like, okay, we're gonna. So when we asked to like make the changes, like, no, we don't say that. No, we don't do that. I think she really took into consideration, like, okay, I really got to have you guys read the script and help me with it.
Right.
But she did also still tell us some of it has to be Hollywood.
Right.
Okay, cool. You know,
What was the parts that had to be Hollywood, like, generally? Do you remember? Was it like, oh, okay, well, at the end, there has to be a tragedy?
yeah, that the little kid going up to the coffin, right, with the
Yeah.
pulling up the underwears, you know, like the little
Right.
comedy part ones.
Yeah.
Well, you're a screenplay writer,
Right.
Chumahan.
Go
He's
ahead.
got an award. He writes screenplays.
Go
And,
ahead.
You know, there's the basic fundamentals of what a story has to have, right? It has to have like a beginning, then there needs to be a
middle.
bad guy,
And the end.
Right.
Yeah, there does. But it, to be honest with you, I was thinking a lot about what you were saying, and I was thinking about the movie structures and the way that it was all approached, and especially back then. And I honestly think that the best parts of Mi Vida Loca are the ones that are more sort of like authentic, and you kind of sometimes can feel where you're like, oh, the studio had to
do
this in order for it to be there, because they think the audience, they're trying to get a bigger audience.
Yeah.
Right?
Grab that attention.
Right. And so they've got a bunch of, scarabosas in suits who think they know what these people want. So they go, well, it's got to have this and it's got to have that. And they tell directors and everybody down the line, like Allison, like, this is how it's got to be. But you do wonder deep down in your heart, like, does it really have to be that way? Or would they have loved it if it was actually that authentic thing all the way through? We'll never know.
Yeah.
I think that's how the censorship actually works.
Yeah. So, like, in the beginning where Mousy is going to go have sex for the first time with Ernesto, like, we didn't have a hangout like that.
Right.
Our hangout was the street, right?
Right.
But they had to make it like there was a hangout. Like,
Right.
It probably would have been cool back in the days, but...
But yeah, so some of the realities of the life, a larger audience wasn't prepared to see.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? Even though their economy depended on the reality.
Yeah.
But anyway, enough about the real life. Let's go back to the fucking premiere. So you get all dolled up, right? And you go down there. Now, is there flash bulbs going on?
There's cameras everywhere, photographers left, right, in front of you. I mean, everywhere they're there. And at the time, I didn't know that, I wasn't familiar with some of the actors. I think, who was the one that...
Jack Nicholson. You walk right by Jack Nicholson. You're like,
I almost feel like we're almost coming to like a time on the first one.
Let me check. Blue Eyes, where are we at on time? 33?
Okay.
All right.
We got some time.
We got a little bit.
Okay.
So wait a second. So you don't know who all they are. And they don't even look the same in real life, right?
No.
You walk by and you're like, I guess that was Emmanuel Lewis? I
Are
don't
the
fucking
cars
know.
pulling up and like you're getting out and the camera bulbs are going off type
Flash
shit?
bulbs are going off.
So there's a picture that Allison posted because I believe the dome got closed down, the theater, or they were closing it down sometime this year. So she was posting pictures from the theater that she had. And there's pictures with Jennifer Lopez there. And I'm like,
get the fuck out.
yeah, that's what I was trying to look for on my phone
She's
right
still fine.
now. Right?
Okay.
But it's like, when I go back to look at those pictures, I'm like, damn, I didn't know that I was in the same room with this girl. Here I am with Jennifer Lopez.
Imagine that.
And this was when the Cinerama Dome was still the Cinerama Dome.
Yeah.
It was the actual dome.
Right.
That octagon, that dome looking thing.
Geodescent or whatever.
Yeah,
the fuck.
dude.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
If you went to Cinerama Dome, you were going to go see something good at the Cinerama Dome.
Like the film buffs.
Yeah,
went to
dude.
that.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a trip just going back to that and seeing like, man, I can't believe those actors were there. I remember taking my camcorder at the time, we had the camcorders.
Yeah.
And recording, and I, for the life of me, don't know where that film's at.
Damn.
That's real life.
Was Edward James Olmos over there?
I don't know if he was there.
Okay.
I don't remember seeing
Dude,
him.
Who were some other big like Latino people?
Danny Trejo? Was Danny Trejo?
Danny Trejo.
Damn.
Dude, in the film,
Lou
he
Diamond
looks so
Phillips?
young, bro.
Lou Diamond Phillip.
Lou Diamond
Oh,
Phillips.
La Bamba.
I think it was the brother, the one that played Bob.
Oh, Emilio Estevez.
No.
No.
The brother who
Issa Morales
was
or-
always mad, jealous
Yes,
of Richie.
yes.
Everything's Richie.
Yes.
Right.
Or something like that.
Say it again.
Issei Morales.
Issa Morales. Issa
Yeah,
Morales.
I remember
That's
him
right.
because
Issa
he was
Morales,
sitting
yeah.
across from us on the left hand
Yep,
Right.
Issa Morales.
Right.
God damn,
Man.
dude. You gotta also remember. What's that?
Cypress Hill was there too.
Cypress
There
Hill.
you go. Another show connection.
You know, and you want to know something that's interesting about this is like we're talking about this, you guys. Now listen.
Listen.
Like the Chicano Latino community was always there.
Right.
But we weren't yet in Hollywood. This is not like today where you have this big push for brown and there's all these different. No, this was before all. This was dominated by a Caucasian white, market really.
Right.
And you had the black African American market starting to kind of begin to make some segue,
Yeah.
right? But brown, we weren't even in it. So that's why this was such a big. This is why the name she's talking about, everybody's showing up in Hollywood for this because this is huge for our culture, right? This is huge for our people.
Right. Another big film in 1994, just to contrast with Mi Vida Loca, is Legends of the Fall. which is maybe the most white film fly fishing in the motherfucker, right? Like, you can't get
man.
whiter than that.
I love that movie, by the way.
Yeah, because it's got Brad Pitt.
See?
That's why.
See?
Yeah.
See? Interesting. Forrest Gump?
Right.
Really?
Little Giants.
Wow. Pulp Fiction.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Interesting. Shawshank Redemption. But you know something is like, it just was, you know what's kind of fucked up in a way too is that we're talking about this and there's really not been like a progressive of it. We're talking about something that was, and now how many years later? 25, 30 years later?
29 years.
29 years later, we're just starting to get like this thing. Like what's been happening for the last 28 years?
You make such a great fucking point. The issue is because it really was. I mean, I lived up in Washington at the time, okay? All right? Fucking podunk town.
You weren't even down here yet.
No. I was in Washington, some podunk bullshit backwater town, and they had heard of Mi Vida Loca.
Right.
All right? Okay.
That's crazy.
Why did that film get through the fucking deal at that time?
You know what? I've been doing meet and greets already for the last 6 years. And the first one I did, I went to go surprise Angel Olives, which is Sad Girl. She was in the city of La Puente. And I surprised her. She had no clue that I was going to be there. And it was, we sat down for like an hour and we talked. But during the time that I was there at that event, I was so thrown back at the generation of families that went to see her. You had mom, grandma, granddaughters, and it just blew my mind. And we sat down and we talked for that hour, and she's like, Vero, I don't know why we didn't do this a long time ago. I don't know what held us back. I think for them it was mostly what they were binded by a contract. There was a lot of things that they couldn't like profit off of it. They couldn't sell things off of the movie. To me, it was like I got all my original pictures from that movie.
Right.
And it's my story, my life. So I'm gonna do what what I have to get it out there. And at first I was like, nah, it's not gonna. Nobody's not gonna want to come see me. You're just Vero. Like who? Nobody don't know the story till I say it. Until people know me, realistically know me, right? And she's like, we got to do something about it. Let's do something. I'm going to get the girls together. Let's see what we can do to do meet and greets. And she made it happen. Me, Angel, Sad Girl, Mousy, Baby Doll. We go out, we do meet and greets.
Let's slow down there for a minute.
Yeah.
We want to slow down there for a minute because I want to get into that part post.
Well, one thing that I wanted to go back to that you talked about that goes back to the filming, right?
Uh-huh.
You said something about during that time, you're like 15, 16, you found your voice.
So it was after the movie was filmed, I went back to school, was finishing school, but during that time, it helped me find who I was as a person because I was just, lost. I would go to school, but no interest into why, like other than get my education, right? But I didn't know what I wanted to do and where life was going to take me. And as I got a little bit older,
right.
and I hooked up with my husband, which is my older homeboy,
right.
and we got together, got married, and but during that time, I realized that I was always there for my friends, and not just my neighborhood friends, but friends that I knew even from school that weren't from my neighborhood. I was always there to help them. I was always an advocate. I was always speaking up for people, but didn't realize that I was that person at that time, right? I just knew that I had a big mouth and I would talk shit and put my voice out there and be like,
"You're telling my
story.
story.
You're not going to hurt them. You're not going to,
Right.
I was always the one to intervene.
Protector.
Yeah, to do something. And that led me into the life where I'm at now. I took a really big role as I got older and in my 20s, and I became part of my neighborhood council in Echo Park.
But going back to the voice, right? Because I think this is crucial for young people, Mr. and Mrs. Earbuds that are listening, some of the younger folks. Like, can you walk us through what the circumstance was that you go, oh, wait a minute, I'm a protector? What was that thing that happened that caused you to see that?
I witnessed a lot of my homeboys dead or being shot, and a lot of people, a lot of the girls that ran away from home or that were struggling with like pregnancy didn't want to tell their parents. They would come to my house. I'd help them figure out solutions, what we can do. Of course, with the help of my mom too. It was, and then with the death of my homegirl that passed away, that came out in the movie. She was in a little scene. I think that also was. I think her dying was the big push of me realizing who I was, and that I was that helper, and I needed to keep helping people, and that's what I was here for.
When you say your mom, so was your mom kind of modeling that for you as well? Was your mom? Was it you and your mom that was like a safe haven place, or not? Am I wrong?
No, I think she just. My mom was never on the weekends. She was always gone. You know, with her boyfriend, and I don't know. I guess she just. It was just me. It was something that was just in me that I never realized until after. You know, and
somebody takes on that role in a neighborhood a lot of times.
Yeah,
somebody just takes on that role. They become that person.
Right. And your homegirl, was that Nika?
Nika. That was my childhood, my best friend from elementary.
Let me be clear about something real quick, and I know that people will probably want to ask this, and that is that, first off, question one, is this story, Mi Vida Loca, loosely written about your life and your story?
Parts of it, yeah. Most of it is. A lot of it is also shared stories from the other girls, homegirls from my neighborhood, but majority, so like Whisper, she played, you know, the drug dealing, right? That was my role when my brother got busted and he left all these drugs behind. And I knew, because I hung out with him, I knew who to get rid of it to. Right. And
that became like your thing.
Yeah.
Right.
I liked Whisper.
and in throughout the film and the people in the movie, like, was some of these stars, you know, some of the people in the movie, you tell us, were real gang members.
Yeah. So you have Sadie Lopez, Angela Solives, Christina Solis, Giggles. I always forget Marone. I forget her name, but those were all the actresses. Jacob Vargas, Art, the one that played Little Shadow, Ernesto. Those were all actors. The background scenery of everyone that you see in the background, from when they're jumping in, the guys at the meeting, those are all original homeboys from Echo Park.
Really?
Some of the little kids that you see that played Sadie and Mousie's daughter and son, those are my homeboys' kids. And then all the girls in the rest of the background, the baby shower scenes, the meetings, those are also.
Well, and is it true, I read somewhere about your homegirl Nika, that Allison Anders actually put together like a scholarship fund or some kind of help fund in her name as a remembrance? Is that true?
I don't know. I haven't heard about that, but Allison is forever and will forever be in my heart, and I will always do anything and everything she asked me, because she ended up raising Nika's son, adopting him, and I had him for probably about 4 months living with me after she passed away, and I was only 17 at that time, 17. I'm like, I don't know what to do with the baby, and my parents had just bought a house in Eagle Rock, and my mom was like, we can't do this. How are we going to raise them? And I didn't want to give them back to the family.
Right.
She came from a really bad background of, you know, alcoholics, and there was drug addiction in a lot of her family members, and I knew that he needed a better life. And
she adopted,
and she did eventually create a fund, scholarship fund for Nika Rogers for benefit youth in Echo Park.
Listen, right there, because there's a lot more to talk about, you know, guys. So I definitely, I would like to just take it. This is a very important interview. It's a great story and important, and it's not all going to fit into
our show. It shouldn't fit. Right. Yeah, right. You're right.
So let's definitely, you know, have a part 2.
Okay.
We're going to bring it back.
Right.
We're going to find out more about Veronica's, you know, history, this film, what happened with the opening of the film, what that set off,
what other amazing celebrities she didn't recognize.
Right. And kind of what's going on with Veronica and all the different things that have unfolded from that bring her here today.
Right.
So we will be back with a part 2. But for
That's-
right now,
right.
we're going to cut this short, and you'll have to pick up the show on part 2
Part
of
2.
Veronica Arroyo,
Ariano.
Ariano,
Ariano.
and Mi Vida Loca, the story. And out of here. Hasta la vista from the Hard Luck Show.
Esposo Mike.
I remember seeing Mopsy for the first time. She was loca even then. She was always in deep shit with her mom.
Maribel, ¿dónde estás, niña? You better get in this house quick, you little bitch. You did it pretty good this time. I'm going to kick your ass on the house. Maribel, ¿dónde estás, Carmelita?
I saved her ass that day, and I've been saving it ever since. We grew up together, her and me. There wasn't anything she didn't know about me, and nothing I didn't know about her.
And I didn't want to laugh, you know. So I was like in the corner.
We were so tight, people called us like we were one name, Mona y Maribel. We even had our periods on the same day. She was always boy crazy, but when she saw Ernesto, that was it. It was all she could talk about. She drove me crazy with it. You think he likes me? Ask him who he likes. He said, hey, what's up to me today?